Good morning. I love all the people turning their cameras on. So we'll give everyone a couple minutes to get started. I love how many of you are here early today. So there are many familiar faces and many new faces. So drop in the chat where you are and one goal you have for this year. And I can share one of my big goals for the year is that all of you get to know each other, share more time with each other, share referrals with each other, grow with each other, and ultimately build amazing friendships. I could say over the last, it'll be 5 years actually in April this year since we started. And I would say the most amazing part of this entire place is all of you, right? The relationships, the friendships, and all the different things that have come out of this. So I can honestly say that this year for me is, I will say, the byproduct of everything I've ever done in the 20 years of real estate. And I can ensure every single one of you, to the core and heart of my being, this will be the best year of your life. And this is a culmination, I would say, of my life's work, because everything that we've learned has been from listening to all of you, the sessions, the accountability sessions, the live events, and we have built such a robust system that will allow you all to grow. So I'm going to give everyone one more minute. I'm going to set a theme for the year for all of us, and a little bit of a hint, it's going to give you some time back in your calendar. So and if you can too, there's a thing called neuroassociation, right? The way that your brain connects seeing one thing to another. So Margaret, welcome. So I would write Margaret Babington, and I would change your settings when you log into zoom.us to Washington, D.C. Put your market in there, because as you're seeing people in accountability groups, the main sessions, you're meeting them in person, you're role playing with them, you want to start building that idea subconsciously in their mind that I'm an agent that works in this market. So when they hear their Compass colleagues or a client of theirs think of a referral, it's like this, they'll think of you. But if it just says Margaret Babington, I don't know where Margaret works, right? I know Jennifer Judge is in Austin, Texas. I know Miriam is in Sonoma County, right? So it's like a little Zoom hack, and you have to log into your main Zoom account. If not, you'll be doing it every time on the session. So for everybody, welcome. So this kicks off our 2025 revenue roadmap. We have a lot of stuff to cover. So I want to set a theme for all of us. And, the whole part of having a filter is it allows you to keep the wrong things out. So the filter I want to put on this year is this theme of addition by subtraction and simplification. Now, what does that mean? It sounds really cool, right? Like, who here wants to grow by subtracting things and having a more simplified life? Anybody? Right? And when you're able to do that, we will teach you how to build a business that fits into your life, right? How many people here have kids? One of the things that I've become really present to, and I can share this as a person who's, made many, many mistakes. I've done things really well, and I've also done things completely terrible. And, our kids see what we do, how we do it, and that's going to influence who they become. So there's so many people that are taking the precious time where they're dropping their kids off from school, picking them up from school, going to activity times that generally foster connection, right? Because if you go back to the world we used to live in, there were not cell phones everywhere. There wasn't this whole instant access world, and the world seemed to operate great and in many ways better, right? So, when your business isn't organized and you're doing all these different things, this is where you lose time, right? So you cannot build a foundation on anything that's fluid. So we're going to give you a foundation and we're going to teach you how to do this. Now, when I say addition through subtraction and simplification, what does that really mean? It means the one thing I do not want anybody to do is attend all of the coaching sessions. I'm going to do all and everything is one, overwhelming, two, it's chaotic. And what does it really equal? Nothing. I always say the joke to see if people are really listening. How many things can you focus on at once? The answer is one, right? Focus on it at once. So if you're trying to grow your buyer business, your seller business, and prospecting, you have clients, you have a family, you have appointments, you have objections, how are you ever going to get anything done? So the beauty of what we've created, I'll give you my whole theory of major and minor. At most, you should be attending 2 sessions a week, at most. The second thing is, you don't need to go to any of these other trainings. And I'll tell you why. We have a very specific system. There are people on here like Brad, who's one of our accountability leaders that you'll meet today, who's been doing the same system year after year after year. And it takes time to really master any skill. You look at Olympic athletes like Michael Phelps, he practices the same thing for a less than 10-second race 4 years like this. But it's like making grandma's meat sauce recipe. If you're trying to cook a meat sauce and you want to have a better meat sauce, you're not going to go to 6 different like little Italian grandmas, like listen to all the recipes and trying to figure out how to put it together. All of the Compass stuff we do for you. We'll tell you how to use all the technology. Every different part of the buyer system, the seller system, and the prospecting system, the 3 areas that never change in your business, we're going to give you the materials and then teach you how to use it. So the prescriptive thing from me, who designed this program through all of our amazing clients and what you've shared with us, is attend 1 to 2 sessions a week. Go to an accountability session. All of you should be in accountability sessions. And then practice and implement what you do. If you're spending your entire week on Zoom calls, like you're not doing anything. The one thing that you'll learn about me is, one, I'm looking around these calls to see who's writing, to see who's doing things. I have a weird obsession, and the only thing I care about is what you do when you leave. That's what I think about. That's the context of how we make the programming. That's how we make the resources. And tomorrow, when we go through onboarding our platform and all this stuff, we'll walk you through like what our product roadmap is for the year, what we have for you, how our enhancements will come, how we can give you real-time support. This, I would say, is 4+ years of feedback, right? When I was talking to one of my buddies in Compass Leadership, I was like, I was kind of down a little bit. I'm like, it took us all these years to figure it out. He's like, well, it took us 8 to 9 years as a company and you figured it out in half. So you should be happy. You're ahead of where we were, right? So when we go through business planning today, I want you to listen, right? Now, there's different types of listening. There's listening to listen, where you can really start putting the information into your subconscious mind. There is listening to take notes. And if you're listening to listen and you're listening to take notes, you're not really listening at all. And then there's the third one, which makes the worst salespeople in the world, listening to respond. Right? With the way that technology works, otters and Fathom videos and Fireflies and everything else, you don't need to take a single note anymore. The only things that you should write down are triggered actions. Like I heard Chirag say this is what I want to do. And that's it. At the end of the session, there'll be a recording in our platform and a full entire summary of notes and action steps. Does that make it easier for you? All right. So I want to play this song for all of you, right? And it really kind of sets, I would say, the tone for this year. Depending on how I feel, I might ask you to, you know what, I am going to ask you all to do this for 5 minutes. Hit yes if you're into meditation, visualization, or any of that other stuff. And the people, my friends on the East Coast, call it woo-woo stuff. But as I like to remind them, all the woo-woo people are really happy, right? And I would say this is my favorite, one of my favorite songs, my personal development. I do this when I work with professional athletes, right? I actually walk them through this visualization exercise. And at the end of it, somebody always cries, even big, tough football players. And they're like, holy shit, like this literally walked me through from the time I picked up a football to my life today. And the song is called Daydream. And you listen to this woman's story of struggle, where she is. And the song's all about being a kid to where we are now as adults. Like, who here feels like kind of fatigued from the market last year and the last few years, right? If you go back to 2022, I remember we made a program called the 2022 Business Blueprint, right? It was like all about first there was COVID, which just completely burnt you out because no one was built to work that way. And they took away our freedom and locked us in our houses, right? And we had to wear masks, and that was just a crazy time. Then we got into this whole world of multiple offers, no inventories. Then we went into high interest rates, the NAR settlement, inflation, then it happened. Like, for all of you, this has been the craziest 4 years of your life. Sound about right? Like anything, it's like Murphy's Law. Whatever could go wrong would go wrong. It's like whatever could change could change. You know, it's felt like for many of us, it's like walking through quicksand. And the goal of all of the stuff we're doing today is to provide you stability, right? Like, I want all of you to be happy. Someone asked me, like, how do you judge your client success? Is it number of closings, percentage, blah, 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 blah. I go, no, I have one thing that I care about is that people are happy. Because when you're happy, your business, your life, and your bank account are all in alignment. So how do you know the coaching is really working? Your life and your business are both getting better. I have zero interest in building cash machines and businesses for people where they neglect their family, their friends, their personal health, to have a bunch of money in their bank and nice fancy clothes, bags, shoes, vacations. That's not a life. There are people around you, and the only thing they care about is your love and attention. Kids spell love via attention. And if people think that you can either have a great business or a great life and they're mutually exclusive, they're full of shit and they just don't know how to teach you how to do it. So I'm going to set the attention. Let me put this on here. All right. So now what I want all of you to do is close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out. Deep breath into your nose. Exhale out. When you inhale again through your nose, I want you to inhale all your fears, your doubts, your worries, your anxiety for the last 4 years. And I want you to breathe them out. You're releasing them from your body. So breathe them in, let them out. Breathe them in, let them out. One more time, breathe them in, let them out. Now, what I want you to do is listen to the words of the song and let my voice guide you.
My mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I became her full-time caretaker. I lost my record deal during that, but I think maybe it was a bit of a blessing because it gave me some extra time to really be there for her.
Is she okay?
No, she passed away.
I'm sorry, Lily.
It's okay. I really told myself I wasn't gonna cry.
It's all right.
She was my biggest cheerleader, and
Lily, look, I have to ask you this. Are you okay to do this audition?
I don't know how I'm gonna be able to make it through a song without crying. But, you know, singing was something my mom and I really connected with, and it's how I fell in love with music in the first place, her playing music in the car. So I'm just trying to make her proud and continue to live my daydream.
Good for
All right,
you.
everyone close your eyes.
Okay, well, best of luck. We're rooting for you, Lily.
Take a deep breath in. Deep breath in. Now I want you to go back to the day you decided to get your real estate. You're looking for freedom, flexibility, time that everything was expected.
When we were kids in the backyard,
You feel like a
playing
kid,
astronauts and rock
dreaming,
stars.
excited,
No one
full of
told us
energy.
to stop it.
What was it
Call
like the day
us
you got your license, the day you got your first business,
and
the
suddenly
day you
you're
got your
18.
MLS, your
Go
first
to college
showing?
for your plan B.
What
What you
feeling?
want
I
is
want you to
too
go back and hold on to
risky.
that feeling.
Live for weekends and whiskey. We all got these big
We all had
ideas.
these big
One
ideas,
day they're
dreams, these
replaced with
hopes,
fears.
desires, impact we can have,
How
all
did
those
we
little
get
things. Now
here?
go back to showing your first property,
Darling,
writing your
don't
first
quit your
offer, your first accepted
daydream.
offer, the
It's your
inspection,
life
the
that you
closing, families and friends and people
made. It
looking at
ain't
you with
big
joy and
enough if it
smiling,
doesn't
happiness
scare the
and
hell out of
fulfillment,
you.
feeling in your gut
If it
and
makes you
worry and doubt just went away because you knew this was
nervous, it's
true.
probably worth
Imagine the
it.
feeling that you
We'll
had when you saw
save it for
kids running
sleep
around and people
when
saying,
you
"Can this
could
be my
be
house?" They're closing
living
and
your
moving in and being connected to that journey, to the
so
daydream.
scared of failure that we fail to try.
And as
Turning
time went
around
on, we
before the
became
finish
afraid of
line.
failure
Gotta
and we're
fall
afraid
for
to
a
try.
minute before
And then
you can
all of a sudden, all these things crept in.
fly.
Great
So
clients, phone calls, balancing,
daydream, it's your
juggling.
life that
And all of
you're
a sudden, the life became
making.
really difficult.
It ain't big
And we
enough
became
if it
challenged and we
doesn't
became
scare
afraid.
the
And what I
hell
want
out
you
of
to do is let go of that
you.
moment. I want
If
you to
it
step
makes
back
you
into that moment when everything was a dream, everything was possible. We
nervous,
could go back to that moment right now, right now.
save it for sleep
And I want
when
you to
you could
realize that that
be
feeling of
living your
everything you want in your
daydream.
life
Or
right now.
save it for
Who are you
sleep
with?
when you should
What is
be
that feeling like?
living your
What is it like when you're living your daydream?
daydream.
Step into your 2025. I want you to hold on to that moment. I want you to picture in your mind when everything you've ever wanted in this life has happened. Where are you right now? Who are you with? What does the wind feel like on your body? What are those emotions that you're feeling? Who is standing next to you? Are you smiling? Are you laughing? Do you feel the sand on your beach? Do you feel the sand on your feet on the beach? Are you sitting in your living room? Are you with friends? Are you traveling? I want you to realize that in this moment, anything you close your eyes and believe in is possible will happen to you in 2025. And I need you to anchor in this statement, this moment, the feeling, the win, the smile, the laughter, the joys, the happiness, the fulfillments, the ups and downs, and know that anything you want when you close your mind and open your mind's eye is possible. Now, as you open your eyes, I want you to take one breath in through your nostril, exhale one breath out, and step into 2025 and start living in the world of possibility. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the new world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our featured program for today. So when we get into business planning, the first thing I want you to really do, and caveat, if any of you thought this was like business planning, this is going to be a very different business plan that you've never done before. It might not make sense to you, but you have to trust me. Our coaching philosophy is a golden triangle. It's mindset, performance, tactics. People come to coaching for tactics, and tactics are actually the least important thing in everything. There's no shortage of information out in the world, but yet there are millions and millions of people that do nothing. Why? Mindset. Now, I don't define mindset as this pie in the sky, like it's a secret. I want a Ferrari. I want a Ferrari. I want a Ferrari. I'm going to get a Ferrari. Mindset is your ability to think about something differently than you do today. Because our brain is programmed for two primary needs, certainty and comfort. So the idea of doing anything different, thinking about it differently is this is not me. This won't work for my clients. This isn't my market, blah, 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 blah. I've been hearing this for 20 years. And I will raise my hand. I used to say that all the time. Then you go to performance, and it's where our tagline comes, unlock your promise. When you understand your brain is built for certainty and comfort, and you're able to think about something differently than you do today, it's about time blocking, tackling, and actually the art of getting things done. And then it's the tactics that matter, right? So what I want you all to do, and we'll give you directions and everything like this, and today's like a high level overview. It's not to get in the weeds, and you need to actually take time. Right? You cannot build a 6 or 7 figure business writing a business plan in an hour. It's the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my life. People do business plans for the idea of, oh, I made a business plan. They put it in a desk or it's written on their computer somewhere and they never revisit it. This is something I'm going to encourage you and will be prompting you to go back all the time. Right? So what I want you to do, and you could write this down, is on a piece of paper, write down, I am the standard. I am the standard. Why do I say I am the standard? When you're the standard, you're the person that everyone aspires to be. So why can't you be the standard in your market, in your life, and in your family, right? Now, what I call this an I am statement, it's really like a personal mission statement. And this is something that I'm going to have you read many, many times. And it should inspire you. It should bring tears. You need to connect the challenges and the stuff you have to do every day to something much bigger, right? Now, a lot of this has to do with your actual brain. Does anyone have any idea how their subconscious mind works? Hit yes or no in the chat. Anybody? And you should know, you've been here for years. We talk about this often. All right, good. So we'll have to simplify this again. So your subconscious mind's entire job is to bring to life what you think about. But the thing that people don't talk about is enough. It can't delineate the difference between a negative thought and a positive thought, right? If you follow Dr. Joe Dispenza, there is science and proof to this, right? That you could literally rewire the neurons in your body to create anything you want. For God's sakes, the guy healed himself with a broken back with his mind in less than 3 months. It's all possible, right? So why do I talk about this I am statement and mission statement? Because I need you to have something that you're deeply connected to, that inspires you, that programs your brain. And we're going to go through the most important routines that every person needs to have to create a peak state of performance every day of their life. Now, when you're looking at your statement, you're going to put on it, I am the standard, right? Because it's going to constantly remind you that you are the standard, something everyone is aspiring to be. And the first part of it is, why do you do what you do? What is the reason, right? The second area is your purpose, and this should inspire deep connection. The third part is like, what's motivating you? The word motivation comes from motive to act. What is your inspiration? And the fourth is the results and the outcome. What are you creating as if it was already done? Right? So if you ask me, why do I do what I do? I believe that entrepreneurs are the most special people in the world, that everyone inside of them has a promise, and it's our job to unlock it. We want people to have joy, smiles, happiness, and fulfillment in all areas of their life, including their business. It's like, what's my purpose? To have people live fulfilled lives, both professionally and personally. What motivates me is the fact that so many people are living in challenge and in pain and in frustration. I've never met more people with fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, and separation anxiety than real estate agents, right? Like, it inspires me every single day to know that in 30 minutes or less, I could say something that impacts your life, that creates a better experience for your clients. If they're at a better mind state, they're less short with their kids. What you do amplifies to infinite medians, correct? And what are the results? We've achieved our results in many years to build the largest community of Compass agents, but this year the results are different. It's that people start looking at their business as what it really is, a multi-decade long career, and they play this infinite game concept. Our results is that our clients have the materials, the community, the support, the accountability, and the love and connection they need to grow their entire business, where they never have to go anywhere else to get anything they need. That is the outcome of what this is, right? So let's talk about programming your system, programming yourself for success. Do you know what the most important routine you have in a day is? Your evening routine. What? Yeah, your evening routine. Nobody has an evening routine. Everyone's like, the morning routine, the miracle morning. Well, your morning starts the day before. Your week starts on Sunday, right? So what do we need in a morning routine? Number one, you need to pick a time to initiate your morning routine. Your brain and body are one condition around, circadian rhythm, right? Like that whole cycle. Number two, if you start doing the same thing at the same time with the same habits, it starts winding down your body and your central nervous system. Some people are like, what the hell did I sign up for? This is the art of performance, right? I'm not just here to tell you, call your clients and say this. No. If you can't manage yourself and allow yourself to get into a peak performance state, when people ask me, how do you turn normal people into millionaires? I'm like, this is it, right? You meet Rory Galley, he's like, how many people Chirag turned into millionaires? He'll be like, his face will light up. right? Because this is possible for anybody that wants to do the work and has patience. So you need to pick initiation time, like a time to initiate your evening routine. Then the next thing is start getting ready for bed. I hope everyone at night showers and brushes their teeth, washes their face, because that will start triggering your body to wind down. The third thing is you need to pick out your clothes for the next day and lay out your gym clothes. Yes, we all should be exercising. Chirag, I don't have time to exercise. Try doing burpees for 3 minutes, you'll want to die. Right? Like 3 minutes and burpees is like literally will make your heart go like this and you'll be pouring sweat. The fourth thing I want you to do is you need to review your calendar to have an idea of what you need to do tomorrow, right? And we'll get into a whole calendar part about this. I was talking to my cousin this morning, right? And my cousin actually worked on Oriolan's team in machine learning and AI in 2011. And my cousin built an algorithm that is a Silicon Valley unicorn worth over $1 billion. He's one of those genius computer programmers. And we're talking about kids and our words for the year and everything else. And he's like, you'd be really proud of me. He's like, I'm teaching my kids that the most valuable thing they have is their time and their calendar. My daughter, who's 8 years old, has been pushing me to make a YouTube channel for her to teach children and adults how to use a calendar and time block. My daughter says to me every day, Dad, what are we doing tomorrow? If we don't have a plan, nothing's going to get done. The day's going to just go by and people are just going to waste time on their devices. 8 years old. She's been saying that since she's 7, right? You need to review your calendar. Now, you need to also spend 15 minutes a night either reading 10 pages in a book or listening to positive audio. Right? We want peak performance. Now, here's where the magic happens. When you're done with TV, Netflix, I don't think it's bad to watch TV. I'm going to raise my hand. Like I need to watch TV most nights. It's like the only way to turn this brain off. Like for us that are entrepreneurs, I call it the entrepreneur curse. You could turn your cell phone off. You could turn a TV off. You could turn a light switch on. But that thing in your brain that's obsessing over your business, your clients, like you got to turn it off, right? If not, it's just like a fan or an engine that's running consistently. It'll burn out. Now, here's the thing. If many of you, I imagine, are married, have partners and stuff like that, like, yes, connect with your partner, do what you need to do, or do this, then connect with them, or connect with them and do this. I need you to read that statement 3 to 5 times every single night. Why do you want to read this 3 to 5 times? Because you're programming your subconscious mind to seek and find and create this reality. The last thing you think about before you go to bed is generally what you dream about. You go to sleep with worries, you sleep with worries. You have bad sleep, right? You go to sleep happy, you sleep like a baby. Now, I've worked with many high-performing people that feel like they have imposter syndrome. People making millions of dollars a year that feel like they're a fraud. And this is literally what we do to reprogram their mind. It's crazy, but within a month to 6 weeks of doing this, you will think and feel like a different person. Now you're going to step into your morning. You'll see in the plan, do not, okay? Do not. When you start your day, yes or no, as soon as you look at your phone, your emails, your texts, and your social media, isn't everything else in every minute of your day about everyone else but you? So where are you in all of this? Because this is where burnout comes from. Right? I learned during COVID, I can actually show this to you here. When our business started, do you all see this? All this stuff in blue? This is what my calendar looked like. And blue is actual meetings. And the red blocks, 3 of them are time. I would go to meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. And I literally took everything that I did in the business and I invested into employees and this space that we built out, which all of you will at least visit once throughout the year. But what I learned was if I did a 10 to 12-hour digital detox, even though I was working almost 12 straight hours a day, I was fine the next day because it allowed me to connect with my human self, my family, my life, right? So when you wake up in the morning, do not click the Instagram button. It's a black hole. Right? You're literally starting like screwing yourself because it's what everyone else's highlight reel is, right? Like there's some people I'd say like you're not mentally built to be on Instagram. Just don't do it, right? Do not check your email. It's an organized system for other people's agendas. Text messages, phone call, get off your goddamn phone, right? Many of us have an old iPhone. I have a second iPhone, and the only thing on there is Apple Music and YouTube, because I like to listen to like podcasts and things on YouTube, right? Number two, when you wake up, a lot of you feel tired. It's because you're dehydrated. If you drink 6 to 12 ounces of water right when you wake up and you go brush your teeth, and I find brushing your teeth like the weirdest hack, because when you wake up in the morning, your brain associates brushing your teeth with starting your day. If you don't believe me, I've tried this like 10 times. I'm like, no way. And I brush my teeth and I try to lay back down. You have that fresh feeling in your mouth to kind of lay, you toss your own card. My day's going to start. The next thing I want you to do, many of us drink coffee, me included, go down, go to your living room, wherever your quiet place is, where no one else is. Make your cup of coffee, if that's how you start your day, and read your I am statement 3 to 5 times. After that, again, spend at least a minimum of 15 minutes reading, journaling, positive audio. And then I need you all to exercise a minimum of 15 minutes a day, because it will unlock the endorphins in your body. You can go for a walk. You can do 3 minutes of burpees. Ideally, like just get out of your house and unlock those endorphins. And the other one is you have to eat a healthy breakfast. Like, I don't know what you all know about food, but just go into ChatGPT and type in what ingredients are in foods that are banned in other countries, or type in Europe. And it's shocking, right? Like yellow dye 5 is materialized cold, like coal sludge. It is sludge. Red dye 50, like they have all of this stuff, even in kids' medicines, multivitamins. It is insane. Like, put good food in your body. You have no idea how much that affects your brain, your gut, which is your second brain. Eat a healthy breakfast, go take a shower, go get ready. Then the next thing is, yeah, I love Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes, candy, and everything above, but I love feeling good better, right? So review your calendar. You need to know what you're doing, right? And that's it, right? And then you can start your day, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Is this something we can all do? Can I tell you, like Tony Robbins calls this like peak state. You can program yourself to be in a peak state of performance every day, right? David Goggins calls it the 40% rule. When you get to 40%, your brain shuts down. Changed my life when I'm like, holy shit, there's like 60% more you can have out there, right? Deborah, we'll do our questions in the end. So we have a lot of stuff to get through. So we have time for that. Then the next part is for all of you, it's like another way of knowing yourself better. We call this our Med-C process. You'll see this for both buyers and sellers. But every person has 4 drivers to anything they do. They have a motivation, they have an expectation, they have a disappointment, and a concern. You had a motivation for coming here, something you're excited about happening as a result, an expectation of me, disappointments from other coaching that will impact like the way that I communicate with you, the things that I do. You know, like that past trauma that people have when making a decision, right? It happens in human relationships all the time. And concerns. I want you to do this for yourself, both in your personal life and your professional life. I need you this year to be the year that you know you. Does that make sense, everybody? Because when you understand what motivates you, what your expectations are, where you've disappointed yourself, again, like if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up anywhere. If you don't know what you're looking for, you'll end up with anything. So this is the foundational section, these first 2 sections. Now let's talk about our calendar. Many times in one-on-one coaching, I'll listen to somebody's goals and then I'll look at their calendar. And based on their calendar, I could tell you everything I need to know about your business, your life, and your bank account. This is the number 1 skill of successful people: time management, right? So I want you to do an internal reflection. What's in my calendar today? Then, as you go through goal setting, are the actual activities that you need to reach your goal in your calendar. It's amazing how many people tell me, I want to make $1 million this year, or $500,000. All right, great. Show me your calendar. There is zero time in their calendar for prospecting. Oh, great. I'm going to just close my eyes and say, like The Secret, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have $1 million. You have to do something, right? My favorite law is the law of Goya. Do you know what the law of Goya says? Get off your ass. The best solution to everything is action, right? So then I want you to build out a new calendar. Now, if I look at calendar first, remember we talked about building a business that fits into your life. Put your family time in your calendar first. Your family is not something that gets shuffled in your free time blocks for work. You have to put in exercise, prospecting, following up with leads, coaching, accountability sessions, practicing and implementation, listing and buyer appointments. And then we'll talk about this. It's a 10-minute business plan, right? Really, it's just asking yourself 3 questions like what income producing activities I do today, what distractions got in the way, and what will I do differently, right? It is like income producing activities where people get confused. Well, I went on a listing appointment, doesn't count. I made collections for my clients, doesn't count. Income producing activities is defined by me is the actions of creating income deals that do not exist today. Remember, if your business goes like this, just remember there's a future self of Gigi saying, Gigi, 3-4 months from now, right? Gigi at the end of Q1, I need you to do something today because we need money. Our family needs money. We need money. But what happens is if you don't do anything and the next day you read you don't do anything, you're like, oh my God, like I need to make sure to do this today, right? Distractions. Raise your hand if you've dealt with the same distractions for a year or more. Everybody, right? I am the foundation of my house is ADHD. I joke around. I've been the original ADD kid. I was pulled out of 2nd grade. They put me through all this testing. They made me talk to a psychologist. Like I have ADD, right? But I also know that I have to be really mindful because I can get distracted easy. But see, when you look at distractions in your brain, it's like trying to find something in an ocean. And you need to take that thing in the ocean and turn it into the size of Earth. So when you start tracking your distractions, we all have this competitive drive in us, right? But identifying a distraction is like an alarm going off, right? A bank has an alarm go off. If they don't have a system to deal with the alarm goes off, it's meaningless, right? So then we have that Monday morning quarterback. Raise your hand too. How many people have been sitting at the end of the day with this long to-do list that they came in the beginning of the day, I'm going to conquer all these things. Now you're sitting there, you can't go home, right? Like I've had that happen. I'll be the first one to say it. It's because when the distraction happens, you don't have a way to identify it, nor do you have something to do. So when you read this every day, now when the same distraction comes like, oh my God, I'm prospecting, but my client called, what will I do differently? Not get distracted, like understand, like I need to catalog this, see what it is, be proactive about it, right? And go back to it later. Now, here's the #1 rule of time blocking that I want people to understand. If you had an appointment with me at any point during the day for 1 hour to go look at houses or have a listing appointment, could you do anything else? Yes or no? Could you answer your phone? Yes or no? Minus it was your family and emergency. No. Could you check your text? Could you go on Instagram? Or could you do any of those other crazy things that people do during a day? No, right? So then please explain to me why you sell out your time blocks that are literally your future success and the foundation of your growth. Every time somebody says, can I see a house at 9:30 today? Oh, see you later. Won't see you in the coaching session. But if you had an appointment to bring out another client, like you'd say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment at that time, right? Like there's a quadrant of prioritizing tasks, right? There is urgent and important, non-urgent, non-important. If every time a client calls, it's urgent and important, that's called an emergency. And you wonder why we're so like this. You want your business to be non-urgent, non-important. So let's think about this. The second anything has to get done with the client, it's important. Then how do we categorize this, right? There's urgent and urgent important. Urgent is like, I need to get this done by the end of the day or there's going to be a negative consequence, right? Like highest and best, like to do today or tomorrow by 5 p.m. Does not mean you have to stop everything you're doing right now, but like, oh my God, we have a high, it's not due till tomorrow, right? Now, someone's going through a walkthrough and you're in a coaching session and they call you from the walkthrough where closing's going to happen in 2 hours, like a pipe burst, you have to stop what you're doing because that's urgent and it's important. Something that doesn't get dealt with in 2 hours or less and has a negative consequence. Does that make sense, everybody? What I wanted to make sure for all of us is that we have an actual foundation and system that's built for growth. So if you think about it, you have a 5-foot tree and then you want to plant a 50-foot tree or a 20-foot tree. What do you have to do? You have to dig a bigger hole, right? So the tree fits. For all of us that want to grow our business, this hole is having this entire system of our mindset, our performance, and our tactics. But if we're not able to think through this and we literally continue just existing and reacting, what it really feels like is like playing a game of dodgeball, but the clients have the ball and they just throw it at you all the time and you never get to throw it back. Make sense? All right, now let's go to the next section, identifying opportunities for growth. So I heard this on another coaching session that I was on. Now, write this question down. Such an interesting question. If someone else bought your business today, what would they change and why? This is identifying opportunities for growth. What would they change and why? Every single one of you will have an answer to this, yes or no? Of course. And then the question is, great, why haven't you changed it today? It's a good starting point, right? If you want a different outcome, ask a different question. Now, the second question is, what do you think is missing in order to grow and scale your business to the next level? And here's a little secret. A lot of us, when they answer this question, are just lying to themselves. If you just did the first 3 parts about the morning routine, the evening routine, the foundation, your calendar, your schedule, knowing yourself, that in itself is like the thing that changes all the things, right? But then we all have like different things, right? Like there's some of you on here, we talked about, all right, like we need to scale our operations. We need role clarity. We need to be able to handle objections better. We need to be able to deliver a buyer consultation with the utmost confidence that's customized all the tools and resources that we have to what the other person wants, right? And the last one is describe what the next level of your business looks like. Like I want you to describe this in such detail. Because what you're doing is, in question 1, you've identified what the present state of your business is. Where am I today and what do I need to change? Then you go to the next step of like, all right, here's all the things that are missing. And the third step is, here is the outcome when all of these things happen. Make sense? All right. Well, here's the other part. People overcomplicate this, right? You'll get all the questions, but the second is, what do you think is missing in order for you to grow and scale your business? Let me give you a secret clue that leads into the next section. It is your skill set. So, when you build a really cool business that's successful and grows really fast, all of a sudden, and you're fairly a young person, I would guess, or I feel old, but people tell me that I'm young for our business or where it is. I don't really care about any of this stuff. I just really want people to grow and have fun. I'm like a giant child. Like, when you ask my team, sure, what does Chirag want the business to be like? I'm like, Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, because everywhere you go, there's something exciting, right? So I end up at this gentleman's house, Marshall Silver. Marshall Silver is like one of like the most foundational OG sales and influence trainers. And through a buddy of mine, he was telling him about me and he invited me to like this Carlsbad mansion, which was like on the water with the private beach, had to be $30+ million. And I literally showed up to this guy's house with his cassette tapes I used to listen to, like CD-ROMs, right? Like CDs I used to put in my car when I started. And so I got there and he invited me there for a whole day, right? And so, he had done real estate training. So I asked him, I go, what do you think the #1 challenge of real estate people are? He goes, I can answer that in 30 seconds. And I go, well, what is it? He goes, they're in denial that they're salespeople. And then I put my own spin on it. People confuse what they do with how they do it, right? What do you do? Sales. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It is a duck. What is a duck? If the only way you get paid is when you collect a commission, you are a salesperson. Your license says real estate salesperson. That's what you do. How you do it could be at a consultant capacity, an advisor capacity, whatever all those words are, but you're salespeople. So how do I quantify sales in our world here? Is having effective conversations, helping other people get what they want. That's it. So the person I blame, and as we go through this journey, there's no way to hide this. I hate NAR. I think it's the worst trade organization in the world. And I think if they were parents, because we're like the parent to this organization, they're like the parents from Matilda. They screwed you all from the beginning. They made you salespeople and gave you no sales training. You guys are all entrepreneurs and they don't give you a foundation of running a business, managing yourself, managing money, understanding P&L statements, understanding how to invest in your business. The list goes on and on and on. So the challenge we have today, and this is why I know all of you will do better than other people. If you looked at 2 Instagram ads, right? One said, how do I get leads in 60 seconds or less using ChatGPT? And then the other one says, how to have effective conversation helping other people get what they want. No one would sign up for my conversation course. Everyone would sign up for ChatGPT. But here's the thing. If you don't know how to talk to people, you will lose money, period, end of story. And if anyone does not believe me, you've all seen my free training. I would love to go after you on a listing presentation in your market. Because here's the reality. There's only one thing in any market in the world I don't know. Do you know what that is? The actual market in the houses. Do you know how important that is? Depends on the conversation you have, right? Now watch this. There are 3 things that sellers care about: price, marketing, communication, correct? Their timeline, where they are, where they're going, things being organized, a high-level Ritz-Carlton 4 Seasons approach. I know how to do these things really well. I know how to listen. I know how to customize my entire presentation to what somebody else wants. I know how to lay it out in an organized marketing calendar, build it into a Google Calendar, have a written communication plan, build it out into a schedule, show them from contract to close what the calendar's like and how we're with them every step of the way. So they're going to say, yes, Chirag, but you've never sold a house in my market. I would say, great. If you were going to sell, what's the most expensive jewelry or thing you own besides your house? They're going to tell me, would you just have the jeweler do it, or would you go to an appraiser? Oh, no, I would go to an appraiser. So why wouldn't you want to do the same thing for your house? I know this is your most valuable asset, so let me invest the money up front to make sure that we get every dollar out. Additionally, I'll pay for an hour consultation to see if there are any minor updates that we could make. And as appraisers have the information on all the properties that are in contract, let's see what we could find out so we can maximize your equity. Would that work for you? There's the end of the conversation. And price, marketing, communication, and being a great presenter, it is not something mutually exclusive. It's not something you need any God-given talent, a gift of gab, or anything. It's just learning a system. But no one's doing it. Look around at all the other coaching in the marketplace. Who else is teaching people this stuff? Nobody. Who else is giving people materials and then teaching them how to use it? Nobody, which gives all of you a competitive advantage. Does that make sense? So we have built out, and I'll show you this, and this is in more detail that you'll have. So we have broken down your entire skill map. Buyers, all of the things you need to do. Sellers, all of the things you need to do, right? Now, there is another part to this. So there are 2 parts to this. Number 1, it's understanding what to practice. So, as the years have gone by, people are like, Chirag, how do I know if I've mastered something? I'm like, you know what? That's a really good thing. So I took our seller checklist, right? And it took me more than 6 hours to make the checklist. And it took me multiple team members, which leads me to believe there's 12-week tracks. It's impossible to learn how to do all of these things in 12 weeks. If it takes that long to make the checklist, right? How long does it take to learn all the things? That's why people, A, don't understand how complicated this business is. B, they don't realize how long it takes to build out all this stuff. And C, how many years it takes to master this transaction. If you mastered 1 skill a week, just on the seller side or the buyer side, put in the chat, how long do you think it'll take you to master the transaction? Put it in here. Let's see where we all are. 26 weeks. Anybody else? A year, 12 weeks, a year, 12 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 months, 12 weeks, 3 years, 6 months, 12 weeks, a lifetime, 6 months, 12 weeks, 18 months. Well, one skill a week, I broke it all down. Now imagine, do you think you could master giving an entire listing presentation in a week? No. Now, 6 months, 26 weeks. That's the seller side. And there's some of these things that will take weeks to master. Now, what I want you to realize is this is an infinite game. Your real estate career is not going to end next year. The goal is to do this over and over and over again. And as long as it takes to do one, then you go to the next, then you go to the next. But the way you do this is you continue to get incrementally better every single year. Like you shouldn't be in the business 3, 5, 10 years when they say, would you do it for 1% less like John had, I offer nothing brokerage. Why do we lose money to the same things? Because we're not remember mindset, the ability to think about things differently. That's why when people go, Chirag, you know, this curriculum seems really basic. I'm like, you don't know how to do any of this stuff. It's impossible. Even the most successful agents I've met, right? I like to use Gretchen Coley, for example. Her team's the #1 team in Raleigh, $200+ million. And she literally said to me, she said, the first thing she said to me is, I never wanted to work with you because everyone at Compass said I had to work with you. I'm like, okay, so you're an outlier. The second thing is I wanted to find you on a session and try to nail you down with the most challenging objection that I could think of. So we had a live session. I didn't know who she was, you know, so she starts with this and we role played it out. I get an email from her. I need to talk to you. So I get on the phone with her and in her charming Southern accent, she says to me, I need to walk like you, talk like you, and sound like you're in my pocket. So the first check that she wrote us as a company was for $40,000. And she made me fly there the following week. And she sat through, and you can ask her this. She has listened to every single training on our platform, all of them, right? Then we trained her entire team on the same stuff we're doing. And they went from 12 houses a month to more than a house a day, but they're all trained on one system. And she's like, this is the #1 unlock in growing your business. So now we've organized this in a way that you can start growing your business because you know, it's a Simon Sinek infinite game concept, right? He says there's 2 types of games. There's a finite game that has a starting point and end point, a winner and a loser. It's very much like football, right? And it's how old brokerages like the Coldwell Bankers and these other ones thought of all of you. Why do you think you're all at Compass? Because the only thing they cared about was their P&L statement and what you could give them this year. It's the same thing with business plans, finite game. Here's what I'm going to do this year. No. The infinite game is a game that keeps going and going and going. New players come in, old players drop out. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. Real estate's an infinite game. And if you look at this as being an infinite game player, like Steph Curry does not stop practicing shooting free throws. He makes them 92% of the time. You'd think he didn't need to shoot them anymore, but that's why he's the best at the world. Kobe Bryant said, you'll never be good at something you don't practice. And then they asked him, like, are you ever worried about taking the shot at the end of the game? He goes, why would I be worried? I've taken that shot thousands of times and I keep taking it. So I know whatever the outcome is, I can live with it. Can you say the same thing about your business? I always say, people think they need to major the majors, but they need to major the minors because they're really the majors, right? Like it's the most foundational things in your business. Do you know what the best form of prospecting is? Great client experience. And so I'm going to rub my crystal ball, which since COVID has been right 99% of the time. I was right about COVID. I was right about our Med C or connections, the fact that people needed systems because of delayed transactions. For those of you who've been here, Brad Coy, we asked him for his feedback. He's been here, I think, almost 4 years, right, Brad? He goes, 3 years going on year 4, right? So he's like, he goes to me, the challenge that we have here is sometimes, Chirag, you're like too far ahead. I was talking about NAR almost 2 years before it happened because when I started my real estate career, I worked as a paralegal. So I know how to read all this legal stuff. I'm like, there's no way this is not happening, right? So in my mind, if you can't quantify what you do in the context of someone else wants they want, it's going to be confusing. right? First it's confusing, then it feels chaotic and overwhelming. They go back to certainty. Yeah, this is the same as everybody else. 1%. But people who have the best skill sets, the best conversational skills, will be the people that command the highest commissions, that have the highest conversion rates. People with the most organized systems that provide luxury client experience will get the most referrals and will be the agent of the future. Like that's it, right? Like the luxury client experience, subtitle, How Agents Survive in the New World of Real Estate. Sounds like a cool book, right? Like that's what this is. There is nothing else in the world as outside when I say this, people remind me, well, Chirag, plastic surgery can cost more money. Okay, great, right? Fine. Outside of that, that's my caveat. What more of a luxury service do you buy than a real estate agent? Can you tell me something in your life that you spend 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 on for a service that could be done in as short as 30 days? No. So if you go to the Four Seasons in a $500 to $1,000 a night hotel, like look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. You better be ready to provide 10 times that service because people are paying you more than 10 times the money, right? So these are a lot of the basis, sorry, of what we do and what we believe. And it's tried and true. When you have a great experience somewhere, you want to share it with everybody. I went to a functional doctor for my kids, right? I did not know that based on your blood type and different DNA markers in your fingerprints, you have a genetic food makeup. No idea about this, right? And then you can actually get all your hormones tested and everything else. And what I learned out of this is for somebody who looks healthy, who feels healthy, that eats healthy, that exercises 4 to 6 times a week, I'm on the cusp of pre-diabetes. Let's see, my hormones are out of whack. My epinephrine is 70% above the limit. The GABA in my brain that tells me to slow down is 50 when the minimum is 650. And I'm at a high probability for an ulcer. Do you know how many patients I've sent these doctors in the last 6 weeks? 27. I have clients of mine that are retired NFL athletes flying in here from Washington, D.C. to meet these people. But I had a great experience. It was luxury through and through. And the results speak for themselves. I feel better. I feel calmer. Like my whole body seems to be more aligned. So I had a great experience. I share it with people. The one thing you can count on is real estate agents being unorganized, flying by the seat of their pants. So we can win through just being more tactical, more strategic, and more of an infinite game player than everyone else. Now, here's the next part. I believe in this concept called measure what matters. Is there anyone here today that tracks all their client concerns, requests, gaps in communications, objections? Anybody? Hit yes in the chat. Anybody? I try. Okay. It's 0 to 1. 2. All right. We have less than 5 out of about 150 people. So do you know what that tells me? That for those of you who do this, there is massive growth because no one else is doing this. How are you ever supposed to have a better sales process, a better client experience, more balanced life, better time management when you don't track any of this stuff, right? Because here's the thing. When Susie calls me and I'm in the middle of prospecting, I'm like, oh my God, my seller's calling. Like, you don't have a contract. If you don't answer, they can't fire you, right? Like, it's crazy. Hey, how are you? Hey, how's it going? Oh, everything's great, everything. Are you going to send me those showing fees? You know what? I was just working on that. It was the next thing. They know you're lying. You know you're lying. They know you're lying. And now you're dropping what you're doing and you're scrambling instead of saying, okay, great. Like, can I get that to you today by? So when you tell people I'm going to have things in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, it's different to everybody here. Those are undefined terms. It's not clear, concise, quantifiable. Can I get you this, Margaret, by tomorrow at 1 p.m.? Margaret will know in her communications, I'll get you this tomorrow by 3 p.m., right? Like, it's very clear. So we're aligned. But now what I want to do is like, okay, great. Like, I'm going to go into my tracker, which I'll show you, and I'm going to outline that this was a gap in communication. Here's what I need to do. And now I'm going to go back to my sales process. Like, all right, I need to use the CSE communication template because then they're never going to call me for this. It's like when you call your clients for updates, the second your client calls you for something you said you're going to give them, you lose. Period. End of story, right? Like people want our resources and they used to be hard to find, right? So we built an AI search that in this month will be going in. So when you want to find something, you find it, right? So here's the tracker that we built. Let me show you this. Be a ninja. That is correct. So you'll click the link in your business planning doc, right? Client challenge tracker. You'll make a copy. So now it's for you. You can put the date, you can put the client of the property, and you can look here, objection, concern, gap in communication, the client type. I think the listing price is too high compared to others. Set up a meeting to share the market. Now, I also know that I could go back and have a more effective buyer consultation, right? Concerns, lender needs extra documents, potentially delaying the closing. Like these are all things, gap in communication. She wants a feedback, client request, wants to know what's going on in the market. You all should be tracking everything in here. Now, what happens? There's a thing I call the three-step pattern process, right? First is pattern awareness. I'm going to be aware that I need to find patterns. Pattern recognition, I'm doing this work and after you do this work for 30 days, you're gonna be like, oh my God, the things that come up are redundant. Pattern implementation. Now I'm gonna make the change going forward. Do you know how much time this will put back into your business in a year? Do you know how much happier your clients will be? I find it really amazing how people think that in coaching and all of this stuff that we need like this major breakthrough of life. Yeah, you can build all the cool, like complex, like crazy business ideas, but if you don't have a foundation, that entire house you build crumbles because there's no system, there's no habits. Great habits, systems, and consistency are the key to everything. So that is your tracker. So your skill set will align to your tracker. Now, some people skip around, right? Some people want to start from the beginning. There's no wrong way to do it. But guess what? If you see it, an area that comes up over and over again, guess what? That's what you need to be practicing, right? And you remember how it starts is how it goes. All of this stuff goes back to our initial conversations with our clients. You're going to either train people on how to treat you, or you're going to respond to how everybody else feels. Does that make sense? Is this a very different business planning session than you're all used to having? I don't know about you, but this sounds like actually fun stuff to do, right? There's like, for everyone that's like there's a lot of instant gratification to this. And the reason you never heard this before is like, this is like, you can call me Salem from Slumdog Millionaire. These are all the things I've come up with my 20 years of experience in real estate, as an agent, as a broker, as a speaker, working as a Compass employee. You know, our team did a campaign, it was maybe 6 months ago or whatever it was. It's like, did you know Chirag has done more than 17,000 hours of coaching sessions at Compass? 1,000. We work with agents that do upwards of $500 million. Why does that even matter? Because we know what works, we know what doesn't work, and coaching is paying for the solution to everyone else's problems. You cannot scale anything without a foundation. You cannot. You can go to the gym all you want, but if you don't have a great diet, you'll never physically look the way you want to look, right? You can keep making sales, but you'll never have a scalable, great business if you don't understand money and time, your calendar, and then your business just goes like this. All right, here's the next part. And this scares me, right? And not to get like emotional, but like, you know, like some of the calls that I've gotten as I've talked to people this year have been really hard, you know, and like, I don't want people to be in these horrible financial situations. Like I talked to someone the other day who's like, they're literally fighting at the end of their life to save their house. Like no one needs to be in that situation after working all these years. And it's because people don't take the time to understand the basics of money. Like how many people actually know their business? Like the numbers. Some, most people know, right? So like if you go through the metrics of this, number one, you need to know the sources of your business. Where does all my business come from? The second one that nobody thinks about is what is my GCI percentage from each source? 80% of my business is Zillow leads. Yeah, great. But all those leads have a much lower price point than your past clients and centers of influence, but your brain's think to think the 80%, right? And then it's like, how does my money and time align with this? So we have this whole keep it or cut it exercise, right? You're going to go through your business statements. What are your monthly subscriptions? Where do you spend money? Where do you spend client gifts? One, it's to align it. But now I want you to go through this exercise. So here's our next worksheet. So you can put the expense here, and we've listed out all these different types: lead gen, branding, subscription, professional development, marketing, like all this stuff. Some of these things all have costs. Some of them are for lead generation. You can track sales, ROI. And then here's like, if there is no sales or ROI, just start cutting all of the stupid shit that you spend money on, $20 here, $50 there, right? Lean and mean is the way to go. And if you're not using it every day, get rid of it, right? And like, this is how people end up in these horrible situations. They're not keeping track of any of this stuff. And then they get confused with branding and lead generation. If you're paying somebody to do your social media, that's for branding. If you're paying for lead generation, right? You're paying somebody to build content with clear CTAs, landing pages. You have email campaigns, phone campaigns, 8 to 12 touch sequences, because that's how much it takes to convert it all. That's lead generation. So half the people don't even know what the hell they're paying for. Then they don't know what the expenses of their business are, right? And sorry to get emotional on all of you today, but like, it's like when you really care about people, hearing this stuff breaks your heart, right? Like the whole purpose of this, you can't be Willy Wonka's chocolate factory when you have people walking around your factory that are suffering in pain. You don't want that, right? So like, you know, together we can always be more, and there's just certain things you have to constantly do, right? Then the next one is, this is going to be a ChatGPT workflow. You'll learn this about me. If you don't have a ChatGPT 4.0 subscription for $20 a month, just spend the $20. And I swear to God, if anyone asks me if it's worth it, if you go out and you can afford a coffee, a salad, you go out to lunch, you go out to dinner, like if you're going to waste money on healthy food, and you're questioning buying like something that has 150 IQ in every different job field in the world, I question your sanity. And welcome, this is what I call a carefrontation. It's a confrontation with care, right? That's my coin, right? So here's what you're going to do. You can download, step one, you're going to download all of your personal statements, 12 months of your personal bank statements and all your credit cards. This will be mind-blowing for some of you, right? Then you're going to go in to ChatGPT and use the prompt. I need you to learn and analyze the statements I have attached. I'll have multiple uploads, and once you've completed reviewing thoroughly to understand every detail and expense, every detail and expenses before I give you your next task, right? Upload your statements. Note you can only upload 5 at a time, right? So upload 5 at a time, enter, upload 5 at a time, enter, upload 5 at a time, enter. So does anyone know, besides Brad Coy, what a super prompt is? Anybody? ChatGPT 4.0. It's like ChatGPT Plus. It's like $20. By the way, you want to see the craziest thing? All right, now I'm just going to go on a little bit of a detour and a rabbit hole, because this is actually worth doing. In the pro version, right? You want to talk about saving time? They have this new camera feature. Do you see this? Hold on. Do you guys see that? That's all of you.
It's great to see.
What are you looking at?
I'm here to help. What would you like to know or discuss?
What can you see on the screen?
I see what looks like a video call on your laptop screen. Are you in a meeting?
Can you say hi to all the Chirag Shah Coaching community members?
Hello to everyone in the Chirag Shah Coaching community. Great to connect with you all.
What is one tip for success that you'd give all of them this year that will change your life?
Focus on consistent, small improvements each day. Over time, they lead to big results and lasting success.
Sounds like it's been programmed on me, right? It's incredible. Like you can literally go to your laundry machine and say, I have really expensive clothes I'm putting in here. How do I, put this so there's no wrinkles and that the clothes don't shrink? I'll click this button. Like it's amazing, right? So it's like we have everything around us. So I'm going to show you what a super prompt looks like. And we give you everything. I'm never going to tell you to go do something without giving it to you if I can. Now look at this thing, right? Like this is crazy, right? So it says, act as a world-class financial analyst specializing in personal finance. Given the following context, criteria, and instructions, analyze the personal banking statements and credit card statements to derive the daily, weekly, monthly, and annual costs of living. Context, all personal banking card statements have been provided, encompassing various transactions, including income, expenses, and reoccurring payments over a specified period. Approach, data consolidation, categorizing, calculation, visual representation, response format, instructions. So I call this the KPIs of money. It's the daily, the weekly, the monthly, and annual cost of running your life. Does anyone know what those numbers are? Let me tell you, excuse my French, this is going to scare the ever-living shit out of you. Second part, go through the same exercise for your business. Does anyone know what the daily, weekly, monthly, and annual cost of their business is? Anybody? Hit yes in the chat if you do. And all of the people that hit yes are all people that have been here for many years. I love it. Look, here's the reality. There is a cost every day to wake up and be you, right? Then you're going to tell chat, can you combine the two? And if you thought you were scared based on your personal spending, when you combine the two, you're going to be like, when I tell you need to prospect today, just put that number on like a little sticky Post-it note on your computer screen. And every day you're going to Goya yourself. You're going to get off your you-know-what and start moving. Because every day that you do nothing costs that much money. So when I think of people that invest in coaching and don't invest coaching, and this is my mindset around it, if I look at that daily cost of that blended average, that's a cost to me every day trying to figure it out on my own. And generally what I find, regardless of how much it costs, it's much cheaper to invest in a solution than sit here and try to figure out something I don't know how to do. But also the other thing is you need to watch this and know it every day. Then you need to know like, all right, here's my actual spending. Here's my income, right? And what happens is if you don't prospect regularly, eventually you have a bad month, you put some money on a credit card, you have a few bad months, you don't save money for taxes. All of a sudden, do you know how many people I've met in my life that have hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax debt, maxed out credit? It's over lifestyle. But they spend all this money on all this other stuff, but the last person they want to spend money on is themselves. Why? You all are smart enough to make that investment in you, but you need to know what we call the KPIs of money, right? Then there are other amounts you should know, like my average sales amount, right? My average commission percent, right? How much is and then what is my commission split, right? So you can know that I make this much sales price. This is my average commission check. This is my average take home, right? Then you could start figuring out, well, I need to do this many deals every month, just not making any profit to just live, right? But now you're running your business like a business, right? Then I have this little financial check-in. It's like 4 questions, like how much money did I spend this month? What was most effective? What did not work? And what do I need to reconsider? Every single month. If you're bad with money, you should do this every single week. Because people that are over lifestylers, at the end of the month, they have this big credit card bill. But if you're overspending and under earning, you have a problem. So you should do this every week if you like to spend, right? Now, the last part is, and this is what people spend all their time on, goal setting. Goal setting is really simple. Pick a transaction number or pick a volume number. One or the other, not both, right? What are your business goals? What are your personal goals? The next part is, what are the habits, systems, and skills to implement to reach the goals, right? Healthy habits, plan your coaching sessions and implementation time, block time for client outreach and follow-up, regularly review your finances and progress, and develop and use the systems for tracking everything, right? All of your goals happen as a byproduct of what? Your calendar and what you do in your calendar. This is not rocket science. This is not like I'm going to have this marketing campaign here and this thing here and these things here. Great. If you don't have the foundation, all those things are worthless because they don't ever get done, right? And then you do them, but you're not prepared for what comes in return, right? I call it the 170-30 rule. People think like having a client event is like, yeah, we nailed it. They're here. No, it's only 70%. The 30% where all your income is in the one-on-one outreach, the personal follow-up, and everything else. Right? So look, I don't know, Margaret's front and center on my screen. So like, Margaret is the #1 team in her market. There's 30 people on her team. And I happen to believe the only reason she came here is because I pick up the phone after she sent an email and joined a webinar. And I spoke with her, right? Like, and there's a handful of other people like that. It's that personal outreach that's so important, right? There are many of you I've spoke with here. So you have to build a foundation, right? Now, what I want to do is, we did really good on time today. My favorite part's Q&A, but I want to take time to really introduce in all of our sessions our accountability leaders. Now, these are people who are just amazing humans, right? And years ago, we had this idea that we should build accountability groups, right? And who wanted to volunteer, right? So you'll meet Jody, Brad. I'm not 100% sure. Martha, if you're here, hit yes. Cherish is not here. She's taking some time off. I have a video from her that I'll play for all of you. But these are people that have been in our program for many years, have mastered all of our core principles, and have been running these incredible groups literally for years, right? And so the way that the accountability groups are working is there's actually a different accountability group that you can actually go to every single day. Now, remember what I told you in the beginning, do not go to all of them. The only way you build relationships is going to the same place with consistency. So I encourage all of you to pick one group for the next 12 weeks, right? And they're broken down by the 3 tracks. There's 2 different options for buyer, 2 different options for seller, and there's 1 prospecting group, right? Now, pick a group. Now, each group is a little bit different. I'm going to give them some time just to introduce themselves, their group. We will create, like, in your calendar, you'll be able to subscribe to the accountability sessions that you want. Then after them, I'm going to introduce Susan, our head of happiness, and explain to you what her job is here, which is one of the things that we're most excited about. And then we'll have time for Q&A. Sound good? All right. So ladies first, Jody, I'm going to pin you. I didn't even pin myself. Shame on me. Jody, you want to mute yourself?
I'm unmuted. Hi.
All right, go ahead. It's your floor.
Hi, everybody. It's really nice to see all your faces, some of whom I recognize or have been in my groups, and others who I'm really excited to get to meet, hopefully this year. I wanted to thank Chirag and just say I know that he's provided a lot of information today. But don't worry, because in our groups, we're going to work with you on implementing the information that he's provided in a really safe place. You've given yourself an amazing gift this year by joining this coaching program with Chirag or renewing. So I wanted to, first of all, congratulate you for giving yourself that gift and then say, bravo to you. I'm excited for you, and I'm really excited for this year too. I think this is going to be a great, great year. Particularly about me and who I am. My name is Jody Ticknor. I've been an agent for 13 years. I've been a Compass agent. It'll be my 6th year this year. I'm a licensed attorney, but I no longer practice law. I do real estate full time, and I work in Los Angeles, specifically in Beverly Hills and the surrounding areas. Over the past 2 years, I've been leading 2 groups that are coaching members. I've been doing an accountability group and a role play group, and we've been meeting every week. And if you new to Chirag's coaching, you may not know this, but if you're, someone who's done his coaching before, Chirag believes that, it's better that other people explain their client experience than you explain what their client experience is. So I went back and I looked at the words that people have used to describe my group. And here's some words that people use: transformative, community, scheduled, important, increased their business, referrals, co-listings, productive, incredibly valuable. So I'm very excited about this year because you have amazing people leading these accountability groups. I was in Brad's group, Brad was in my group, I was in Cherish's group, Cherish was in my group, and Martha is also really incredible. These groups are safe places for you to learn, grow, collaborate, practice, and implement. And you're going to step out of your comfort zone in these groups, and you will grow in your personal life and your professional life. So referrals and co-listings, these are a result of being present, coming to the group, being on camera, participating, collaborating, and being at your desk. And I know it's hard for a lot of us. We're, mobile. But if you can make the commitment to schedule in the time in the group and be at your desk, be present, ready to work, it's going to benefit you immensely. The referrals and the co-listings, they're a part of your participation. You have Chirag and his tools and trainings that are incredible. And then you have us to implement them and make them a part of your personal life and your business. But, ultimately everything in life, right? And everything in this program is going to come down to you. It's going to come down to you being committed to doing the work, to being present, to showing up, to being on camera, and being at your desk ready to do the work. So my group is Thursdays, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I feel like Thursdays are a really good day for us, and I'm going to look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Jody. And we'll circulate out emails and everything else. So Brad, you're up next.
Hello, everybody. I'm Brad Coy. I'm based in San Francisco. I'm thrilled to be an accountability coach along with Jody and Cherish and Martha. And I'm just really pumped for 2025. I've been in the revenue roadmap or a variation of that for the past. This would be my 3rd year. So it's completely transformed my journey through real estate, which I've been in real estate for the better part of the last 18 years here in San Francisco. And I've just seen exponential growth over the past few years. The first time I joined Compass 3 years ago, and shortly thereafter, I partnered up with Chirag and his coaching, and that's when things just really started to click for me. There's a fascinating discovery based on Annie Murphy Paul's research that changed everything along with Chirag's coaching for me, and that is our brains are literally wired to learn differently when we're in community. Okay. And it's not just motivation or accountability, it's actually neuroscience. And we learn together when we grow together. So our brains engage a unique process that makes information stick deeper and longer. And it's called the social coding advantage. And as a recovering introvert, this was hard for me to take, but the truth is there. And the results of my business became impossible to ignore. So this is exactly why these weekly accountability groups are so crucial. It's what I've learned personally. It's what I'll be sharing with you. And every time you show up, you're not just learning Chirag's proven strategies, but you're activating this powerful biological advantage. Okay. So listen, I can't wait to meet you all on these groups, on these calls. I'm going to be there probably joining in on some of the other accountability leaders calls. I'll see you with Chirag's calls. But listen, if you're on the sellers track over the next 90 days, you'll experience firsthand how these transformative, um, you know, strategies can work for you. Chirag's proven strategies and the power of this collective learning. It's going to be fantastic. So I ask you all to commit to showing up every week. That's how we learn and grow together. So if you're ready to make it count, I look forward to seeing you then. My calls are going to be on Monday on the seller track following Chirag's seller calls.
Thanks, Brad. And Brad has gotten a fair amount. When him and I were chatting, he's like, I've got a whole bunch of like referrals and co-lists and people who do things together. And so we have a variety. I'm a very transparent person, right? We're trying different times, some off days, some right after the session. And again, just like you had to log in here today, like we are actively looking at what you're doing, right? And we're going to be sending out lots of surveys. And one of the things that Susan will be working on, and I'll get to Susan and Cherish has like a quick 90-second video, and you guys can all meet Martha tomorrow. And everyone needs to come to the onboarding session, right? There'll be more about how do I get the most out of this program? How do I find the stuff? How does accountability work? How do these groups work? Like it's like the foundation of like, I paid for this and like, here's how I get the most out of it. Make sense? So for anyone that's a team leader, make sure all their team members show up, because if not, they're going to be asking you these questions. You're going to be sending us support tickets, right? So like part of this here is like, let us do the lift for you, right? And we'll just sit back and enjoy the ride. So this is a quick 90-second video.
Hello all, my name is Cherish Hope McClure and I'm based out of the Denver, Colorado market. This will be my third year coaching with Chirag, and I'm excited to be hosting and facilitating a Tuesday accountability group. This group will primarily be focused on role play. My intention, truly, is to provide a safe, fun, and inspiring container to practice effective communication via the CSC scripts. And my aim is for all of us to cultivate and master our own voice within those scripts and conversation frameworks. If you identify as a person who enjoys personal growth and growth within their business via practicing within a group format, this could be a really good fit for you. And if you're someone who's curious or who wants to work that edge a little bit, come on in. I think it could also be a good fit for you too. If any of you have questions about the group, I do have a one sheet that just shares the details and a little bit more about my style. And you're welcome to read through that or reach out to me with any specific questions. You can email me at cherish@compass.com. That's CHERISH @compass.com. I look forward to seeing many of you in these sessions and in role play.
By the way, what a cool name, right? Cherish Hope, right? Like this is, it's like for the first 2 years, she's like, you have this weird obsession about my name that's like, it like represents goodness in the world. She's like, my parents were hippies, Chirag, right? So look, for one of the things that we want to do is, as I shared in like my I am statement, is community, right? So one of the challenges we have learned is over the course of a year, people can disappear. And then I talk to them at the end of the year, like, look, stuff happens, right? But like the biggest gift we have is our brain, and the biggest curse we have is our brain. It's like having the angel and the devil on your shoulder, the same thing. You know, the person's like, go back, you can do it. The devil's like, you missed the week, you missed 2 weeks, or people are going to think bad about you. They're never going to send you a referral. It's lost. Just forget it. Go somewhere else and start over, right? You know, that's how it kind of works. So there are two things. So we started a new role here, and Susan, where are you? Called the head of happiness, right? So I think she's here somewhere. Susan, unmute yourself. see. Maybe she's not here. And really what the head of happiness is, it goes twofold, right? What happened to her? The head of happiness is for the people that have invested into the program, right? We call them like the principles, right? Just very similar to Compass. Is if you miss a week, you'll get an email. You miss 2 weeks, you get a text message. You miss 3 weeks, unless you tell us to screw off, and I'm an adult, I don't want this, blah, 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 blah. We'll be calling, emailing, and texting you to figure out what the hell happened to you. Because the only thing I care about, like I told you in the beginning, is all of you keeping the promise you made to yourself, and that's have a better business and a better life. And that will be a result of showing up here, doing the work, going to the accountability sessions, right? Now, the other thing that she'll be doing is once a month, she'll be calling all of you, right? Like we'll be sending you surveys. She'll be reaching out, asking you how your experience is going, right? We'll be collecting your testimonials and results and putting them in our weekly recap newsletter and on our social media to grow your brand within our community, right? And now for all the team members and stuff, there'll be different ways and stuff that you connect with, but her entire job is to make sure that all of you have a great experience, right? Like that's it. So she'll be on the onboarding session tomorrow, so you could see like a face to the name, right? And look, like in the end, it's really all coaching is what you put into it is what you get out of it, right? I always ask people like, who have you worked with? I'm like, well, do you plan on working the same way they do? And if you did, great. Like coaching comes down to 3 things. Can you listen, follow direction, and do the work outside of the session? That's it, right? So the other thing that we'll be sharing over the next couple weeks is our first event that we'll have in the office. It's at the end of March, right? And for our clients, you'll have a 2-week head start. We can fit 70 people in here in a room. It'll be a day full of learning. And the cool part for that event and the people that are coming is that same evening, we're going to have our 5-year anniversary party, right? So it will be a blast. So that'll be our first event at the end of Q1. The people that weren't able to come can go too. So we'll send an email out. Right now, this week, we just want you to get all set up and in the program, and we'll get comms and Susan will reach out to you. But so look, the way that it works is for the people that invested into the program, they have first chance at signing up for these events. And after 2 weeks, if there's still empty slots left, then we'll open it up to people's team members, right? Then in Q3, like sometime September, October, we're nailing this down because there are a lot of like holidays during this time. We will have an annual client event. One of the things that we've asked for the most was, Chirag, how come you haven't done a 500-person event? Well, life happens to me just like anybody else. And so this year, instead of just doing a general event to the general public, we decided, just like in alignment with our mission, it's a community event, right? So the only people that will be at this event will be all of you, right? So it'll be hundreds of people. Our destination as of now that we're eyeing is Raleigh. It's a good, for the people on the East Coast, it's easy, lots of flights and easy in, easy out. It's a fun city and it's still warm in like end of September, early October, right? And that'll be a day of just epic learning. I have a ton of really interesting people I know in the work that I do outside of real estate, right? And so we'll have guest speakers and panels and people in leadership, and there'll be parties. And the second day we'll partner with the local offices for caravan. It'll be like a retreat. But what I can promise you is they'll have the best education. It'll be stuff that you haven't heard before that'll be different. And it'll be just an amazing time because if you think about it, over the next 8 months, you're going to spend time being on Zoom with people, accountability sessions, role play sessions. It's like Toy Story. It's like when your Zoom friends come to life. So there's a lot of different things. We'll walk you through our product roadmap and the things that we have in store for you through Q1 and the things that we're working on and what you're going to get and how you're going to get them. So end of September, early October, I have to work with our event planners. There's lots of holidays and travel and stuff like that, and back to schools in September. So look, we'll nail down that date probably by the end of the month would be my goal, but the other events are planned, right? So Q1, we have an office event that buttons up our 5-year anniversary. Q2, we have another office event. Q3, we'll have our big event. Q4, we'll have an epic holiday party. And the holiday party will be fun, right? It's always nice. People come here and they go to Compass Corporate, right? If we know a bunch of you are here, we can reach out to the local sales managers, Robert and the team in New York City. New York's beautiful in the winter. So people come here and like people can come hang out here and work for a day. We'll leave the room open and people can hang out and talk, and David and I will be here. So, you know, it's entire year of planned stuff, and you guys will have all the dates and everything like that. And we'll start sending forms and everything for you to sign up. Now, the last big thing, and then we could do some Q&A, is look, we had a goal, right? A lot of recap newsletters or emails and coaching programs, because I'm in a whole bunch too, they're really bad, right? Like bad, right? I didn't like ours for the last 2 years. I'll say it here. Like, I don't need to send you something that's already on your calendar. It's like dumb and stupid. It's just like a waste of people's time, right? So our team has a goal this year. Our goal this year is if you never attended a session, and the only thing you read was our newsletter, there'd be enough meat in there and actionable coaching that you get a great return on your program. Remember, as a team leader, you sell one $500,000 house and it's a 227% ROI. You sell one house as an individual agent, it's close to double that, right? So like the odds are in your favor of having one good thing at minimum happen for you, right? But the reality is, these newsletters are going to have value, right? We're also going to be looking at who's opening the newsletters and who's not opening the newsletters, because you're going to miss out on important details, right? So we're like tracking all of this stuff to make sure that you're using our materials, that you're attending the sessions, that it's important that we talk to you, right? Those things are really important. Now, remember, a lot of the stuff in the community is you have to meet us halfway. We can't do this alone. We can create the platform, the groups, and everything else. And like, you know, we all need to uplift ourselves. We all know we get busy. We all know we get disappear. We can disappear. We all know we sell out our coaching sessions the first time someone calls with an appointment, right? But we need to keep each other on track, and we're here to help you with that. All right, so now, does anyone have any questions? Just feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in chat.
I'm like new here. I'm new to
Welcome.
real estate. And I just want to know, like, what track should I follow? Should I do the sales track, the buyer's track? Like, where should I, like, I'm like brand new. I've worked for Compass for 3 months now.
You're brand new to real estate or brand new to Compass?
Brand new to real estate.
I would start with buyers.
Excuse me?
Buyers.
Okay.
Right. I would start with buyers, and I would find as many people in your office as humanly possible, and ask your sales manager to send out an email that says, I'm willing to do any open house that someone wants me to host.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. We will send all the dates out with the accountability stuff, 100%. Who else has questions?
I do. So you're saying that the ideal sort of cadence to this program is to do 2 of the training sessions per week and then 1 accountability?
At most,
At
right?
most. 1 to 2.
So
Okay.
there's 2 ways to do 2 sessions, right? One, you're the type of person that can go through 2 and do 2 things at once, and you're not going to get overwhelmed. You're very scheduled. You're very organized, right? So you can do 2, right? If you're going to prospecting, you'll have stuff to do every single day. If you're going through the buyer stuff, you have stuff to do every single day, right? So the other part is the passive way of doing it, right? And this is more strategic. I would go through the seller session or the buyer session along with prospecting. I would just sit there and listen. Say, I can commit that over the next 12 weeks, I'm not actively doing this, but I'm just here to listen. So then when I do want to implement, it's not all going to be new information, right? The goal, there is 0 ROI to attendance. Like, we'll be very clear with it. Do I like having as many people on here as possible? Hell yeah, I do. I love seeing people and the camera's on, right? But it's not what's best for you, right? So you got to remember, it's an annual program. B, we've identified it takes 6 months to learn one skill a week. So that's why the tracks also repeat, right? Because one, you can't learn it all in 12 weeks. Two, it takes repetition to build mastery. Three, God forbid somebody actually does have a legitimate life event. It's a quarter, not an entire year.
So the different tracks every quarter or every 4 months, we just pick which ones to focus on at a time.
Yeah. Remember addition by subtraction and simplicity, right? So if you think about it, say you go to an hour accountability session and one prospecting session or one buyer session, that's an hour and a half. And then you practice 30 minutes a day, right? That's 2.5 hours a week, 10 hours a month, 120 hours in a year. Do you think any one of your colleagues is practicing any one thing for 120 hours a year? Absolutely not. This is how you get better and better than all the agents in your marketplace.
Hey, Chirag, I don't see on the calendar the day and time for the accountability sessions.
We have, I think Brad just put this in here. We'll send it in the recap email too. So if you have team members in here, hey, Lisa, I enjoyed our conversation. I didn't realize it was you, so your name. If you have team members, anyone can go to any track. Like I can't stop you. You paid for the program. You have access to all the tracks. All I'm telling you is from the bottom of my heart, please, like I'm pleading with you here, don't do it. Everything and all is overwhelming, right? So if you have teams, have little pods go through things, right? Like some of the teams have been most successful. It's like, all right, we're going to master our buyer business. They literally sit in a room and they go through the training together. Then they go around the group and ask each person, like, what's your biggest takeaway and what's one thing you're committing to? And if it's not in your calendar, it's not really that important. Yes, we have, Keith, there'll be a recording of the onboarding session, but we'll see, depending on how many people come, we'll do a second.
I have a question. I think the better session for me to start off is prospecting, because I have a tendency to not, my database is set up, labeled pretty decently actually, but I don't always do it daily like I should. So I think that's where I should start. And I do have the capacity that I could audit, another area, I think. So my question there is, from a buyer perspective, I have more buyers. And I have like my processes or my process checklists and stuff done more so on the buyer side than on the seller side. Should I
would do buyers.
Say that again?
I would do buyers.
Gotcha. Okay.
Look, I just want to say this, doing an effective buyer consultation is not easy, right? It's not, right? The first session, first decision, Diane, is to make a decision. What's the first step? You need to figure out what part of your business you want to focus on. Remember what I said in the beginning? How many things can you focus on at once? Once, right? If you're a team leader, you should go through the specific team leader training because it's built for you, right? And there's just a small group of us here, right? So be very personal. I'll be teaching the sessions. So you have to know, like, what am I working towards? What area of the business? I don't care if you do $100 million a year in business, $200, $300 million. I guarantee you, if I sat down and talked to you, there is ways you can improve your buyer consultation or your listing presentation, or your ability to handle objections, or your ability to do an effective home tour when you're walking around with the seller. And you could go through all of the tracks in a year, right? There's like no FOMO here, Diane. Like, just pick one, right? It's better to pick one thing and get really, really good at it than, jack of all trades, master of none, as they say. Yeah, so you'll see that you subscribe to the calendars. Mondays is sellers, Tuesdays is buyers, Wednesdays is prospecting. We'll go through this in detail tomorrow during onboarding, because that's why we want to have an onboarding session. But I just want to see if anyone had any questions about the business plan or anything, right? We still have another almost 20 minutes together. So feel free to ask anything.
I have real quick, the dashboard. I visited the
There's
dashboard.
a bug in our dashboard, right?
Yeah.
And even as I was going in there today to download materials, as I frequently do, I couldn't get any of my own stuff either. So the people that are tech people that do that specific thing, I don't know, they took a vacation from December 20th to January 5th. God bless that company, right? Like, I want to work there. So that's where you log into the portal and everything. So please just have some patience with us there. We have to wait for them to get back. There's nothing we can do.
Okay, so the information that you gave us in terms of the business plan, that's what it's going to ask.
This will be on there. Like, this we can upload on there. It's all of our past content that we have.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't see any. Okay, perfect.
Mariana, you had another question, so.
Forgot what my question was. So what we went over today, the business plan, is there like a sort of worksheet or booklet that will be sent to us so we can
Yeah, we're
kind
going
of
to send you a Google Doc that has links and everything into it. There'll be lines and stuff. So I encourage you all to print it out and take your time.
Okay. And then I guess you'll cover this tomorrow, but I'm just trying to fully understand. So each track is about 12 weeks long, and we pick one at a time to focus on, as opposed to like this week I'm going to do seller, next week I'm going to do buyer or so on.
Exactly. Because you won't like really get good at anything, and you'll be in 12 months from now, you'll be in a merry-go-round. And here's what happens. If you're going to a buyer, a seller, and a prospecting, this is where it's like, oh my God, there's so much content. There's so much great stuff. I feel like I'm drinking out of a fire hose. We've heard this for many years. It's not that the content's bad. It's like good. It's exciting. You want to use it all, but no one has time in the day. And like, remember, your brain and your nervous system and the psychology to it work best in simplification. No one likes complicated. You know, my 8-year-old daughter was always like, Daddy, drama is the spice of life. I go, no, Valentina, drama is not the spice of life. This is not realistic. Like, drama is the spice of life on Disney movies. Yes, you're correct, but not in this house, right? So we don't need to create unnecessary challenges for ourselves. Like, I believe like this is the year, like, you know, like if you think of ourselves as like a steam cooker, you need to let the air out, right? Stop overcommitting to all these sessions and things and everything else, and just leaving yourself out at the bottom. Diane has a question. I'll be real here. I'm weak at technology input, so I get frustrated. Will we get some input with that, like uploading a flip book to a buyer's guide? So those kinds of things you can have your AEM and Compass help you with, right? Those are the best people. They're great at it. They have all the software and everything in. So I think it's important to know where to go for what resources. Like, our goal is to get you to use our resources, right? But you also have an incredible brokerage that has amazing resources, right? And a lot of Compass staff is enrolled in our training too, right? So you'll see them chiming in, oh, your AEM could do this, or we can help you with this, right? It's a very collaborative group. So Plod is this. If someone's going to ask what this is Plod Note. This is the best thing you can buy. They have a bracelet. They have a pin. It's like one of those little credit card things that syncs to the back of your phone. It's like a couple $100 for the year, right? It's an AI voice recording thing enabled by ChatGPT 4.0. Right? So when you're out with buyers, you're doing a listing presentation. How can you listen to all the things someone wants if you're trying to just always write? How can you really be present with your buyers when they're talking the whole time and you're just trying to remember what they said? How do you capture information when you're in the car? You don't. You're like a database of memory for every conversation your clients have, and it's impossible to keep track of them. There is a prospecting session. So Diane, we're jumping ahead. All of the sessions, the details and everything else will be covered tomorrow on onboarding and the calendars and all those little nuance things, right? So don't worry, tomorrow's about getting you in the right place. It's like, good to great. It's like, you got to get on the right bus, but you got to be on the right seat on the right bus. And David, the difference between voice memos is it's the way that this software is able to transcribe things, right? Like, I think voice memos are great, but they're hard to organize. They don't have all these different auto features and everything else like that. Like, you could literally use a Plod note and know which type of summary by messing around with it and send your client a summary within 10 minutes of leaving an appointment from your cell phone. Like, that's powerful. Right? We say that we work at $1 billion technology company. It's not about, tell me what you do. It's about show me. Don't tell me. Anyone have any other questions?
I have one.
Shoot.
If Compass is $1 billion technology company, and maybe this is a bit of a smart aleck question, why do they not have something that our text messages they keep nagging us to download all of our text messages to clients? Why don't they have something to enable us to do that?
Privacy.
Okay, but we have to download all of our crap anyway, so.
Liability.
Okay, so then they're not getting it.
Okay. I don't work at Compass, right? So like, there are a lot of things that I've learned. I have been here for 6 years, right? Like, and part of this is a lot of times is like an individual, it's hard to understand what people do, why they do it. And I don't know, what I've learned in owning a business is, I'm always like, the glass is half full, the world is great, people are good people. And like, there's a whole world of liability and things and laws and stuff and information, right? So for years, right, when Compass bought Contactually and some of these other things, you're like, I don't want Compass having all my data, right? Like, I don't feel like, and Robert, literally, I remember being an employee, and I think some of us have been here longer, remember this, he literally had to write a data pledge with his signature on it and send it to every agent in America, that they were never going to steal the data, use the data, email the people, right? Like, and rightfully so. Not everyone always does the right thing, right? So
can I say to Andrea, I feel her pain. I think the one thing, and I know you don't work for Compass, but what I have talked to our agent experiences agents about is follow-up boss. The one thing that they have that we don't have is that you could have a Wi-Fi number, if you will, and your text, your voice, all of that. Because you would love to be able to call on my computer, make notes while I'm doing that, and my text and everything. That's the one thing that we don't have that I would love. So I do kind of feel her pain.
Can I just say, we could sit here. Hold on, before we go through this.
Sorry, I started.
I want to have more.
You're working on it.
Questions. We can sit here from now till probably the end of the first quarter with our wish want list for Compass Tech. I have my own list too, right? And remember, like, I worked there as an employee. I still have access to the tech. I know everyone personally in corporate leadership. And there's some nuanced things like copying notes from your business tracker to your CRM that I can't get them to do, right? Like, Robert was here a month ago filming content. You can't get any closer on a Sunday afternoon spending the day with the gentleman. But like, look, like, I always say you got to control the controllables, right? And at this point, we want to focus on what we can get out of it, right? And the amount of things, respectfully, I could say, that people think they need in their business, if you're not using the most basic elements and you're doing it at 9, then you should not worry about all this stuff, because overcomplication and overthinking we need all this stuff is why nothing ever gets done. It's like when people haven't exercised in a month, that all of a sudden they need a workout plan, a diet plan, organic food, a trainer. It's like, it's a go walk for 3 minutes, go do burpees for a minute, right? Andrew will come out with some crazy stuff throughout the year, and a lot of the times it's really funny, right? So she if in the words of my daughter, she definitely brings a spice of life to this. You have no idea. So
Sorry,
look,
I'll try and keep myself on mute.
No. Unmute yourself. Like, look, this is not like what I want to make sure of is being respectful of everyone's time that made an investment of being here, right? And what we all came here is a forward way of growth. And us sitting here thinking about what Compass can or can't do, their product roadmap is locked in generally a year in advance with any kind of updates that happen based on major market changes. Like they hear, listen, they gather feedback. So, they review it with their team and see if it's something that could impact everyone in every market. It's amazingly challenged at a company on how to collect that much information and prioritize all, right? So we want to make sure that we keep this as like a safe container for growth and personal development and how we can always do more, be more, have more. Does that make sense? All right, so we have 6 minutes. One, I just want to end this. The majority of you have stayed on here the entire time, right? So, as I always like to end my sessions, I always say, with love in my heart, I love you all. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be part of your businesses and your lives and really trusting all of us here for an entire year, right? It's not like, hey, come here for this 30-day boot camp. It doesn't work. We don't believe in it, but look, like we want to see you on the sessions. We want to see you in accountability sessions. We are obsessive in wanting to know about your wins. We want to know where we can be more helpful, right? And so, look, a couple things I just want to get out there while there's a good amount of people here. If you know someone or you have team members that aren't on here, encourage the people that you know to keep showing up, right? It's a consistency. And look, there'll be lots of surprise and delights, trainings outside of this, right? These are the 3 things that never change in your business: prospecting, working with buyers, working with sellers. When Compass comes out with their whole client dashboard, we're going to make our own system and train it to you. When my buddy, who's the top salesperson at LinkedIn Global, has some time to spend with us on how to use LinkedIn as a lead gen machine, we'll do a private session. It'll be a bonus. There'll be surprise and delights all year around. But do not get confused with building your foundation. You have to do these 3 things to have a really successful, scalable business. And the people and the individuals and the teams that are doing it at the highest level have these 3 areas working pretty well. And growth comes from mastery. It doesn't come with dabbling in stuff. So do we use AI? 100%. As you can see with these super prompts and this video camera, I'm in a 1 hour a day AI rabbit hole like you've never believed. I have literally replaced my scrolling with trial, error, and weird things that I could think of on ChatGPT, right? So tomorrow we'll go through accountability sessions, calendars, the event calendar, and all the other things that you need. And if you have not subscribed to a calendar or your team members haven't, we will actively have a list of people that we're running against a list of all the people here. If people aren't subscribed to a calendar, it's the first week, come on, let's all get this into our calendars and let's, how it starts is how it goes. And please do yourself of starting your year with confidence, right? So if anyone else we have time for one more question. Anyone else has a question? If not, we have a great support team with Susan, who's our head of happiness, Laura, who's my amazing executive assistant, who many of you have spoke with and enjoy communicating with, and the rest of us here that just operate in the background, both tech and support and growth. Look, we are here to serve you, right? And so let's all work together and let's A, have a lot of fun. B, let's live more life, right? Because that's what we're here to do. And let's have epic years in our business. And at the end of this year, like Roberto says, what does success look like? Success at the end of the year looks like, for me, with all of you, is beyond all the other stuff, that you have quantifiable skills. When you know you have to do that, you're like, yep, got it. No problem. I could do that in my sleep. So love in my heart again. I love you all. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow on the more of the logistics and all that other stuff. And you'll get some surprises and ideas, and you'll see a cool little roadmap. And let's keep growing together, everybody. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let the party begin.